Morning, everyone, and welcome to the morning on AUTV. Today is 4th March, Wednesday, 2026. I am Samira Franklin. Coming up with the headlines. 16 deaths in accident involving ambulance and 4 transit at Potikrom in Ashanti region. Government donates outboard motors cash to senior Breku fishermen after robbery attack. Police probe death of teacher and a farmer in Asinfosu. Ghana invite Chinese investors to drive industrial agriculture. News in details. At least 16 people are feared dead following a devastating head-on collision between an ambulance and 4 transit bus at Potikrom in Ahafo Ano Southeast District of the Ashanti region. According to eyewitness accounts, the 4 transits with registration number GT6576-19 was transporting passengers from Kumasi to Bechemu when it collided head-on with an ambulance. With registration number GV527-23, which was reportedly traveling from the opposite direction. The impact of the crash, reportedly caused by a massive speed, left both vehicles mangled beyond recognition. The majority of passengers on board and 4 transit are believed to have perished instantly due to the severity of the collision. An eyewitness, Cobner Stephen, described a scene as horrifying, stating that some of the bodies were severely dismembered and had to be placed in polythene bags and sacks. Officers from the MTTD at Mankranso conveyed the bodies in a pickup vehicle to the mortuaries at Mankranso and Adujama, he said. Other witnesses who spoke to Aunews alleged that the ambulance believed to belong to St. Mary's Catholic Hospital at Drobo was overtaking another vehicle when the crash occurred. In a social media post, Ashanti Regional Minister Dr. Frank Amwakuhene said his deepest condolences go to their families. The Potikrom community remains in deep shock and mourning as police clear the road to ease traffic congestion. Authorities have since launched a full investigation into the tragic incident. The government has donated 5,000 Ghana cedis each and 7 outboard motors to fishermen in Senya Breku, whose equipment was stolen during a violent robbery attack at sea. As part of efforts to restore their livelihood and strengthen confidence among coastal fishing communities. The Minister of Fisheries and Aquaculture, Emilia Atta, presented the items on artisanal canoe owners on Tuesday, 3rd March, describing the intervention as a fulfillment of a commitment made to the victims. The donation follows a harrowing incident on Thursday, February 26, when armed men ambushed fishermen off the coast of Senya Breku in the Awutu Senya West district of the Central region. The victims, who had gone fishing in the early hours of the day, were reportedly returning to shore when the attackers operating a black boat alleged opened fire and made away with outboard motors and generator sets. A total of 71 fishermen were affected in the attack, although we all were later rescued through a joint operation involved the Marine Police, the Ghana Armed Forces, and the local fishermen. They were left stranded at sea for hours after their injuries were forcibly taken at gunpoint. Presenting the outboard motors, Madam Arthur said the government remains committed to protecting fisher folk and ensuring their safety on Ghana waters. We cannot leave our fishermen to bear his loss alone. This support is to help them get back to work and continue providing for their families, she stated. She added that the ministry is working with security agencies to put in place measures to prevent similar attacks in the future.
Outboard motors na no ngaka ho o man penyenjo mahamate no once na hokwa e no suma hen emi minister for fisheries na mp no ha no mo na ba dododo the masemi see no mp 2 1 more intinda ha ye wo no ya papa jo mahama no suma hen then nkrofo no won a free one outboard motor na waje no yem fan shane mumbra na bibi kakra de menda kakra wontum nkopo no won fan hwe wo ho kakra nti ono to na ye be na ne dam no so no ye de fado na ya bo they would ishaya ye be ye nye efaredom ba be ye mra na ohwe efare adwuma do no ohwe he na he ministry ni de or dey ye ma license ma ahiama nyina ahiama nkase na yetumi aye license ba ahiama nkakra me ye license but ye be shase na ye license amamo ye de ndama so abobo won ahiama no waso oposora na bibirisa ye betumi ya track won ye betum so na ye won edi nkita hodi sese ya won phone ya na wodeko into sasemisi a wokọ echira network ye adwuma but ye be hwe kwana ye be fada ye de hyehyɛ ye be bana ndama ye de be ahiama no ho a ye betum na mbribia no ye nye won edi nkita hodi into asema ohonye ono so ye fado generator what the couple no what the light what the couple light na what the toponase ama wetum na wa chenam bebre ebinom the dynamite couple ponase ebinom the DDT ni na ye enama wa kofom wo ponumu no no wo so wo hwe kwana ahura wo be fada wo be nya nam ne kese nti wo ye dem but the matter na wo ye no so ma enam no mom okokra ehu nti ye safari dom de wo me na ye nhwe da menze me ne ye nhwa ne so na ye nja ye ama yellow card na EU da beto hen enam samodo no wetum na weyi na ye na ye ho ato hen yesre wo ma ye nja enam mba no wo ponumu na wonwo enam ne ba owo bia or 50,000 to 100,000 only no one.
The same issue, the member of parliament of the Awutunya Senior West, Gisela Tete Abotui, also commended the security agencies for their swift response and assured the victims to continue government support. Some of the beneficiaries expressed appreciation to the President John Dramani Mahama and the ministry for the timely intervention, describing it as a major relief after the traumatic ordeal.
Papa, what can you say? Yankupon Edenase, but yeah, Papa Mahama, they responded to Yen Sufre. Then I see no Majina here and our friend, what has happened? Mekani na trend also okay keep me posted. Enti nakasa onyim wetu anamo from day one. Enti hihye bia wa ya to hono. So onyim sister honorable Emilia so yes nkita ho. Enti ya da Papa Mahamas. Pa ave ya da national security coordinator so ase. Ya da Ghana Army, Ghana Navy, Marine Police, Central East Police Command, not no. Ena senya profono epo pato o mejira mencha wa na ehuni ye epo hen no ono na ogina ye ncheni ono se na ase because odu local one ye local movement ye no one so na waka ho ye na ye tumi ye so ye teamwork so because as in that time da ho na ye tuma as in san one epo no do it's na ye pentam ye tuma papa one ye ti ye tum insisia yenya Albert Motonoko is basically a shaman all by spare for search and rescue. Assembia to Obia, Nature say ye will be able to my then able to aye, Nachi is a younger say, na, by the manager younger say yes, you are a best number and you are by meeting me. as the nyansa yi nipa community nti yɛn na yɛze yɛn points yɛze ba yɛze adwen bakora ne yɛn nkwa na yɛbɛfa da yɛbɛbɔ wɔn ho ban nti yɛaka kyerɛ na mo nsuro wɔn nkɔ yɛn adwuma ɛna afei so yɛda Ghana Army ase wɔ send councillors na wɔnye wɔn abɛkasa separate because since assembly si wɔn nyina wɔn nkɔ po I don't be a take it easy kakra but ɛyi nipa ne team asɛm.
That was it from the Member of Parliament for Awutu Senya West. Teacher at Faith Academy Basic School at Asin Dompem in the Asin Fosu municipality of the Central Region has been found dead in an apparent suicide, with police investigating in circumstances surrounding the incident. The deceased has been identified as Emmanuel Kofi Kweno, 37. Sources at the school said he had been absent from work for some time and only resumed duties on March 3, 2026. According to his colleagues, he left the school premises around midday after the second break, informing staff that he was unwell and needed to go home to seek medical attention. Later in the day, reports emerged that he had allegedly hanged himself in his room at Asin Fosu. His two daughters, aged 8 and 7, are said to have discovered him when they returned home from school and subsequently raised an alarm. The matter had been reported to the police, who have commenced investigations. In a separate incident in the same municipality, a 43-year-old farmer, identified as Atokwamena, is also reported to have died after alleged shooting himself at Asin Betin Sinso. Relatives indicated that the deceased had gone to his farm and later telephoned one of his brothers, informing him that he had shot himself and required urgent assistance. He was rushed into a nearby health facility but was pronounced dead on arrival. Police has confirmed that the case has been reported and investigations are ongoing. Ghana has invited Chinese investors to partner in its large-scale agriculture transformation agenda as part of effort to reset the Ghana economy. Speaking at the Chinese Lunar New Year Gala 2026 in Accra, Minister of Food and Agriculture, Eric Opoku, said agriculture is now at the center of Ghana's economic strategy under President John Dramani Mahama. He explained that the 2026 budget positions agriculture as a key driver of industrialization, exporting growth, job creation, and foreign exchange stability. As part of this year's intervention, the government is distributing 31,000 metric tons of rice seed, 4,338 metric tons of maize seed, 2,791 metric tons of soybean seed, 372,000 metric tons of fertilizer. Ghana is also expanding irrigation by developing thousands of hectares of irrigated land and constructing dams in northern Ghana to reduce reliance on rain-fed farming. The minister outlined investment opportunities for Chinese companies in irrigation system, farm mechanizations, agro-processing, machinery assembly, and agro-industrial zones. A key initiative is the Integrated Oil Palm Development Program 2026 to 2032, which seeks to develop 100,000 hectares of plantation, created 250,000 jobs, and cut palm oil imports by $200 million annually. Ghana is offering structured landmarks and inviting investments in plantation development, processing, refining, and export oriented agriculture. We are not seeking aid, we are building joint ventures, the minister said, urging investors to move from trade to production. With access to the ECOWAS market of more than 400 million people, Ghana is positioning itself as a regional agriculture and industrial hub for the West Africa. Most parts of the Savannah region struggle with bushfires and illegal logging. This has led to the loss of biodiversity and exposure of effects of climate change. In the face of these challenges, one community is standing tall. The Baryanto community in the West Gonja municipality has maintained a zero fire record since 2016. They aren't just lucky. Instead, they have built a system that works for them. Climate evidence. Between 2012 and 2015, Baryanto, a farming community in the Savannah region, suffered a series of environmental degradation. Common among them were illegal rosewood logging, indiscriminate bush burning, and group hunting. The situation exposed the community to climatic pressure. The lessons from those years have taught people to adopt new practices. These lessons have become their secret to success, knowledge, and ownership. Baryanto Kwaja Samuel, an environmentalist like Gordon Evenio Zekuto from Arocha, Ghana, says it's about knowing that Mother Earth breathes. The bylaws were agreed upon all of us, and we have all followed them to the letter. Before the year 2016, activities like bush burning, group hunting, burning charcoal in the bushes, honey tapping, smoking, and cooking in the farms are all other negative vices affecting biodiversity were happening. But today, they are all things of the past. We have laid down fines that we give to offenders of bushfires to serve as a deterrent to would-be offenders, Baryanto Kwaja noted. On his part, Dr. Gordon Evenio Zekuto from Arocha, Ghana, said biodiversity in northern Ghana forms an integral part of the life of these people because we depend directly on these resources for our food, shelter, seeds, livelihood, and our every existence. And so, you see our chiefs use the skins of elephants, lions, and other species from the landscape to promote the culture of the area. So, biodiversity is very critical, and that's why we are working towards the protection and the enhancement of the conservation of biodiversity in the Baryanto community, which has received technical support from us, is doing very well in safeguarding biodiversity, Mr. Gordon Evenio Zekuto stated. As a measure, the people of Baryanto decided to use a dual approach in protecting the environment. Offenders are fined of causing the spiritual damage of fire, that fire-free farmers are rewarded with yearly packages as motivation of protecting farmlands. The Baryanto community succeeded largely because the rules came from the people, not from outside. Mr. Idrisu Abdul Wahab, a resident and chairman of the Baryanto Bushfires Volunteers Committee, says the measures have, over the years, impacted positively on their harvest. The new Patriotic Party candidate in the Ayawaso East by-election, Baba Ali Yusuf, has conceded defeat. Speaking with the media at the Coalition Center on March 3rd, he said the constituents have decided. We accept it in good faith, he told the media. The Speaker of Parliament, Alban Kingsford Sumani Bagbin, has called on Ghanaians to preserve their national identity and uphold cultural values, stressing that no nation can develop by turning its back on its heritage. He made a passionate appeal when he commissioned a refurbished Awudome Traditional Council building at Ayurase, the Volta region on March 3rd. No nation has ever developed on earth by despising its culture, heritage and traditions, he stated. Culture is worth more than gold and oil, he emphasized. Mr. Bagbin explained that his decision to support the renovation and expansion of the Traditional Council building was driven by his deep conviction that Ghana's chieftaincy institution must be strengthened to build upon the solid foundations laid by the forebears. My resolve to support Togbe and Council in renovating the Traditional Council building stemmed from my belief in the need to support the chieftaincy institution to build on the foundation of our forebears, he noted. In his opening remarks, Togbega Ade Kwasi Zani, the fifth paramount chief of the Awudome traditional area, recounted the history of the nearly 70-year-old council building and highlighted the urgent need for its expansion due to the population growth and increasing responsibilities. He expressed gratitude to the Member of Parliament for the area, Emmanuel Kwasi, the Speaker, Bagbin, for their collaborative support in transforming an aging structure into a modern traditional council complex. The original building was constructed in 1956, serves as an administrative officer for the Traditional Council and also as a traditional court. As part of the day's activities, Mr. Bagbin also cut the sword for the construction of 8-unit classroom blocks with ancillary facilities for the Ayuawase EP Basic School. He emphasized that education remains a cornerstone of national development and urged parents to guide their children wisely in the digital age. Do not allow the technology to destroy the future of your children, he appealed. Help them become better versions of themselves. The event brought together chiefs, elders, opinion leaders and residents, marking a significant milestone in the preservation of tradition and advancement of education within Awudome traditional area. The Awudome Traditional Council, established in 1956, was founded under the leadership of Tobe Ade Kwasi David to serve as the central authority for the traditional governance in the area. Here comes the end of the morning news. Headline recaps. 16 deaths in an accident involving ambulance and Ford Transit at Poticum in the Ashanti region. Government donates outboard motors cash to senior Breku fishermen after robbery attack. Police probe death of teacher and farm in Asin Fosu. Ghana invite Chinese investors to drive industrial agriculture. I am Samira Franklin. Up next, sports segment. Good morning.